Hey guys, so it's me, Mike Taylor, for ARC 212 with Humber College. And I figure this is a nice little way to kind of get us introduced to Revit 2025. If you're using 2026, that's fine too. It's going to be pretty close. So for now, I want to use these videos to kind of supplement how we went about doing our classwork. So they won't contain all of the information we go through in class, but they'll relay a bit, how to get started, how to get in here. I'm going to introduce the assignment on Monday, which is the 19th of January, which is our kind of term assignment. But I'll try and use these videos to help us get to the core content of ARC 212. And anyways, lo and behold, let's get into it. So where's my little Revit jam here? So I already got Revit fired up. So of course, if you know how to use Windows, hopefully you do. Windows is hosting Revit. You can't use Revit on a Macintosh. It's one of the first things I said in class. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on your viewpoint, is only on Windows. So for us, what I'd like to do is just head over here. This is our kind of, as soon as you open up the interface, we've got on the left-hand side here of our homepage, we've got Revit 2025 telling us what version we're in. We got models, we got families. Families are the little bits that live inside of Revit. They basically make up, or I should say inside of the model, they make up the kind of components of the model itself. So the families are kind of little Lego blocks of how we're going to build our overall model here. So I'm going to go ahead and hit new. And for us, I like to use the architectural template. You should have something like this. If you don't, I've posted the architectural template online. It's going to have the information that we need in it to do a lot of the work that we're doing in class together. And if we don't have the things baked into our model, then we can, of course, generate them from scratch. It just takes a little bit longer. So we're going to make sure we don't hit project template. We are in the project itself. Hit OK. And it's going to take a couple seconds here. And now we've got our Revit interface. So I got a pretty big screen here. So lots of screen real estate. The first thing you'll notice is that we've kind of got something is open on the page, right? So this is our kind of view panel. So we've got whatever we're looking at. We can kind of zoom out, zoom in, all that fun stuff inside of our interface here. And then on the left, we've got, this comes kind of pre-baked inside of Revit, open like this. On the left, we've got our properties palette. So our properties palette basically tells us everything we need to know about. Right now, it's the view that we're in, but if we selected something, it's going to give us information about that thing. So in this case, we are looking at a floor plan, and it's giving us all the information over here. If I scroll down, it's giving us all the information about that particular view. And down here, this is our project browser. This is where everything for the whole project lives. So this is where all of the kind of bits of, our views, our legends, our schedules, our sheets, our families, our groups, our links, everything lives inside of the Revit model family. So this is important because unlike AutoCAD, where you might have different views, different sheets living separately, and then if you remember, you X-reference them in, this situation inside of Revit is that we've got everything living inside of the model at the same time. So it has some benefits. It means that you've only got one central file. In this case, we've got a central file for architecture. I don't want to get complicated about that, but we've got one model for you or your project that hosts all of the data. So we've got the sheets, the views, the images, the whatever we need, we can generate inside of this working interface. So the advantage of that is that it's together. We never really, I would argue you can't really lose things inside of Revit versus in AutoCAD, you kind of have things just, they can be stored in different files and so on and so forth. When you go to X-reference them, they might miss a link or something like this. So in this case, we've got the project browser on the left. So you can see our views. You can kind of shrink or make these bigger, however you like. Families, these are all the pre-baked families inside of Revit currently. So this is inside of the template itself. The families are these little constituent parts, these little Lego blocks that are going to help us build our projects or respective projects. Groups we're not going to talk about just yet. Sheets, we've got, this is where our sheets are going to live. Hopefully you guys have had some exposure to sheets. Those are how we document the information. Schedules and quantities. We got some schedules that we can generate: window schedules, door schedules, room finish schedules, the kind of content of our project. Legends, in this case, the pre-baked ones. We've got a key plan, keynote legend, door legend. We might do things like area plan legends. We might do things like, a site plan legend or a reflected ceiling floor legend, so on and so forth. The views are probably where we're going to spend most of our time. So views here, we've got floor plans, ceiling plans, 3D views, elevations. These are all pre-set once we've opened the software. We can't, we can generate new views. So we can generate new views as we go. You can see right here, this little highlight where it says level 0, it's bold. What that means is that is the view that I'm currently in. If I double click on level 1, you'll see now it says that this is the view that I'm currently in. Take note, at the top here, we have right now, this is what's called a tabbed view. We can swap between level 0 and level 1 very easily, or we can come over here to our project browser and double click level 0, and now we're back at our level 0 drawing. The reason this is important is that we are drawing in 3D. We're always in the three-dimensional Cartesian space. So we're drawing things, modeling things in 3 dimensions, versus in AutoCAD, everything is a kind of layer. We've got just layers of stuff. We are modeling 3-dimensional elements. So everything has a kind of 3-dimensionality to it. So we've got an up, a down, a left, a right, as if we're living in the real world. So when you go to model a wall, you are not, in fact, just drawing a 2-dimensional representation. You are drawing, in fact, a model of that wall itself. So on that, you'll see across the top here, we've got all the kind of tools. So this is what's called the ribbon display. We've got, in architecture, we've got all the kind of tools that would be related to architecture, how to generate wall families, door families, window families, component families, columns, roofs, ceilings, floors, curtain wall. For stairs, we got stairs, ramp, and railings. Models, we won't touch this too much. Rooms, so rooms themselves are families. If you hear me say family, it's these are the, again, little Lego components that live within the model itself. We've got openings, we've got datum. So this is our grid line command over here, and then work planes and reference planes. So we probably won't touch that too much for the first bit, but just to give you an idea of the kind of tools in here. Across the ribbon, we got structure with its own kind of set of commands: steel, precast, systems. Insert kind of hosts a little bit of how we might get information into Revit itself. So there might be an external Revit link. If you're working with a structural designer or a mechanical designer, you might need to have additional information from them come in. Families live here. So this is kind of how we would get new families into the model. We'll touch on that in future classes. Annotation. So I hope we know about dimension strings. How do we dimension things inside the model? Linear, aligned, angular, radial. And then because we're in 3D, we can actually set what are called spot elevations. So this is how we're going to set up the kind of vertical axis of how something might be elevated. So is it, for instance, in an entryway, we might have an elevated portion of a stair or something like this. We've got a top and a bottom of the stair. And we can actually set out what that elevation marker is in 3-dimensional space. So the annotations in this case for details here, we're not going to touch this for a little bit, but these are 2-dimensional elements. So anybody who says, Revit is not as good as AutoCAD, my argument is that if you can draw in AutoCAD, you can draw in Revit. So, and in fact, Revit has the added benefit of now everything is living in the same model. Text, so some text boxes, tag by category, which is its own kind of thing. The annotations inside Revit can be extremely powerful, much more powerful than I would argue AutoCAD currently exists. It's about the information part of building information modeling. So if anybody says BIM, that building information modeling, what we're really doing is generating a 3-dimensional model of a database, right? So the database has embedded information and all the pieces that make this model work. A wall is not simply two lines. It is the brick, the insulation, and what the R value of the insulation is, maybe what the manufacturer is. We got air vapor barriers, we've got a whole host of information. It's not just one single or two single lines for a wall. We got lots of embedded information in that model. We keep going here. Analyze, probably not going to touch analyze. Massing and site we'll touch in a little bit in a future class. The views, at some point, we're going to get into how to actually generate these views. So not there yet, but just to give you a sense of what these ribbons are all doing. This is really where how you would create a view from the model exists. So when I started learning the software, I really like to think of it as a reverse MRI machine, right? So we're going to generate the view from the model, right? Or an MRI machine, whatever you like. And we've got all these kind of systems in place to create these views. Manage tab. So we might touch the manage tab, but I don't think so. At least not in this class. This current one here. Modify is where a lot of our kind of commands are going to live. Move, offset, align, copy, mirror, trim, pin, split. So those commands you might recognize from AutoCAD, but instead of again back to this idea of when we're modeling things, instead of just using lines, it means that we're now moving whole walls. We're not moving just a couple lines. We're moving whole systems and whole walls within the model. So it's something to be mindful of is that every change that you make to the model might have an impact on other parts of that model. So for instance, if we move something in elevation, it is also going to move in the plan because it's a model. So why don't we go ahead and just do something, right? This is always the fun bit of Revit here. So I'm going to go ahead and just make a wall. So click on our wall command here. If you hit this, if you hover over the tool itself, Revit is good enough that it's going to give us a little tool tip. What is it you're trying to do? I think most of us know that we're generating a wall, but it is also telling us that there's a little shortcut there, that bracket WA. WA is a shortcut for wall. If you're someone who really wants to use shortcuts. And if I drop down here, we'll see wall architectural, structural, wall by face. For us, we're going to probably stick to wall architectural. If I click on this, in the properties palette, you'll see what's changed, right? So we've gone from just the view, and now we are in the tool. Revit has automatically said, okay, you're in the modify place wall command, and we have a whole host of new kind of things that are happening. This is called the type selector. So when we think about we're modeling this wall family, we're going to decide, well, what's the wall type that we're going to be modeling? If I click the type selector down, we've got a whole host of pre-baked wall solutions for us. And here I've got, exterior, and we've codified them to kind of give us an idea of what's going on. Typically, I'd like to use generic, but I don't think generic are in here for some reason. That's okay. So let's just grab this one. We'll keep it simple. This is wall exterior 102 block work with 75 millimeters of insulation with 100 millimeters of looks like block with 12 millimeters of drywall. So I'm guessing that that's from the code here. This is what we've got. If I click on this, click once, and now I am still in the tool. I know that because my properties palette and my type selector tool is live. And what I could do is there's a couple things I can set. So we can start to do things like set the constraints of how this wall is being generated. So the base constraint is level 0. So that's our current level that we're drawing on, level 0. And currently it says the top constraint is unconnected with an unconnected height of 8 meters or 8,000 millimeters. So what does this mean? It means when we draw it, we've got an unconnected height of 8,000 millimeters above level 0. So what I'd like to do is change this from unconnected, and we'll change it to level 1. So what does that mean? It's going to kind of lock us in to drawing a wall or modeling a wall between level 0 and level 1. Cool. So lots of stuff happening here simultaneously. I appreciate that. Over here, we've got the draw panel. And what we can do here is you can choose to draw a rectangle or a inscribed polygon if that's really what you need to be drawing. Some arc tools here for those of us that are drawing round buildings. I'm going to keep it simple, and let's draw just a simple wall. And I'm going to click once. And if I drag across here, I'm going to zoom in using my scroll wheel here. I'm zooming in. And as I kind of drag across, it's giving me increments. It's kind of snapping to increments of 100. If I scroll in even further, you could see it goes to increments of 10. If I scroll out even more, it's going to give me, okay, it's still going to stick to increments of 100. So just dragging across. If I rotate the wall, you could see it's snapping, right? So it's snapping to roughly 1 degree increments. 45 degrees is where the real snaps happen. 0, 45, I would bet 90, 135, 270, or 90 the other way, so on and so forth. So let's go ahead, and what we can do is I'm going to draw a little house. Let's call it 10 meters, 10 meters by 5 meters, something like this. I can either drag all the way across to 10, or if you're feeling brave, you can see this temporary dimension that's above our wall as we're drawing it. We can hit that 10. I'm going to type 10, 10 meters, 10,000 millimeters, and hit enter. If I hit enter, I should see that wall become modeled, right? So one wall, that's it. To get out of the command, you're going to tap escape. So make sure that you tap the escape key. To get all the way out, we're going to double tap escape, and you'll see our properties palette has come back to our view. So that double tapping of the escape key will always get us out of the command, with a couple exceptions. But I'm going to come back into my wall command here, and normally I can chain, what's called chaining my walls together, and I'm going to double tap escape here. If I want to delete something, I could either, in AutoCAD, if you remember, if you select something from top left to bottom right, it's only going to capture the item within the kind of window, right? So I'm click, hold, drag across, and now I've got one wall. If I wanted to do from bottom right to top left, anything that intersects that box, it becomes selected. So again, anything that intersects that box becomes selected. Go ahead and hit that delete key. And now I got my wonderful wall. My wall is just hanging out here. What do I want to show you? So what happens if I go up to level 1? I'm going to see a kind of faint line here. Can't select it. Why not? This wall is only going up to level 1. So I can't select it because it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist according to level 1. It only exists from level 0 up to level 1. So because it's fun, let's do this. Let's jump right into the 3D here. Default 3D view. Click that this is on our quick access toolbar at the top here. Let's go ahead and hit that little default 3D view. And now we've got our nice little brick wall, as it were. For those of us who like working in 3D, this can be a little fun. If I zoom in and zoom out with my scroll wheel, if I hold shift and my middle mouse button, I can orbit. So I'm going to orbit around my my little project here. So, spend a lot of time in 3D here. Our little view cube up on the right here. This is a vestige from, I think it might have started in AutoCAD 3D. But it can be helpful just to kind of sneak around if you get lost. You want to go to top. Maybe you want a little 3D view of the edge here, something like this. But you will notice we've got, these are called our level datums. And level 1, level 0, with a little geodetic, or I guess this isn't geodetic. This is going to be a relative value for the elevation. So level 0 and level 1, these are the datums. And if we wanted to, we could change this 4,000 to 5,000. Whoops. And I'm going to select it. And then once I select it, you could see it show up in our properties palette with a little elevation marker here of 4,000, which is what it is. If I change this to 5,000, what's going to happen is, because we set the constraint of our wall to be from level 0 to level 1, it's going to update everything, right? So now everything is up to level 1, which is of course 5 meters. I'm gonna go ahead, jump back into my level 0 here. Couple kind of quick things here as I get started. What I should mention is there's a couple kind of hiccups that I do notice happen a lot with us as we kind of get into this together. The first is, oh my God, I've closed my properties palette and my project browser for whatever reason, by accident, on purpose. It happens. Don't fear, don't close Revit. It's cool. This is just part of the process of working in Revit. I like to keep them live for the most part. Come over here to view. We're here to view user interface, and you're going to go ahead, you're going to hit that little checkbox, and it's going to give you back your project browser. And down here, hit that little checkbox on properties. And now we've got our properties in our project browser back. You can go ahead and resize these, drag them back and forth. You know, if you want to have it kind of somewhere else, if you want it on the right-hand side of the screen, also cool. It's going to let me snap. There we go. You can have them layered on top of one another. Oh, maybe it doesn't let you do that anymore. There it is. So if you want to have them layered on top of one another, now they are living kind of in tabs below and above. I find that that's not super effective. I've used the software for around 10 to 15 years. I probably used Revit for the first time in 2006. Hated it. It still comes with its own challenges, such as right now, where all I want it to do is snap to... Yep. Yeah. Okay. This is how I like to use it. Used it for a long time. This is probably what I find the best. If you've got two monitors, it can be helpful to have those the properties palette and the project browser live on their own monitor, if that's really what you want to do. The other thing is, maybe the canvas. Maybe you like working white on black instead of black on white. Cool. Doesn't bother me. Whatever you like. And then the other one is that will continue to get me is this little button up here. So if you see it, just leave it alone. Don't touch it. But if you, like me, you're curious, like, well, what happens if I hit this button? Minimize to panel buttons. Now you're like, well, where the hell did all my stuff go? How do I use the software? I don't even know why this is here, to be frank, because now I don't really know. Oh, I see. So they all live within these little buttons now, which I don't really understand. There's no benefit to doing it this way. One more time, minimize to panel titles. Well, this is even worse. Now, I've got more screen real estate, but I can't see any of my commands. Fortunately or unfortunately, all the way down. We've got nothing. Click it a fourth time, and we're all the way back. Don't touch that button. If you do, click it 3 more times, and you should get back to this little zone here. Just some basic things on the interface. It can be very tedious to kind of like, well, what the hell happened on my commands? I would say this is the optimal solution, at least for me. I know everybody's got a different solution. As you kind of get more familiar with the software, you will have your personal choice of how you're going to use your workspace respectively. The other one that happens all the time is my sweet 3D view. See over here on the left-hand side in my project browser, if I go ahead and I've closed this, don't worry, it still lives in the model. You just double click it open. Remember that part, close this again, and say for whatever reason you delete it. Delete. Gone. Oh my God, where did my 3D view go? There is always a way to get that back. It is the default 3D view in our quick access toolbar up here. I'm going to click this. And now we have our 3D view back. It's now repopulated inside of our project browser in our view bucket. Excuse me. Okay, back to level 0 here. So a couple things. Let's back to level 0. I'm gonna close. Oh, I'll leave my 3D open here. Let's. Sorry, I forgot. So in terms of, let's create a little box. I'm going to go ahead and use my wall command. And for now, I'm just going to drop down here. Let's do 6,000. Come down to 6. come all the way down. You'll see as I kind of drag over, it's going to snap. Is my brick on the right side? I might just check my 3D here, right? So my 3D looking good. I got all 4 sides of my house or bunker, whatever you like. And yeah, so now we've got 4 sides of the bunker. If I want to move the bunker, I can actually select all 4 walls here and come up here to my modify tab. So it's going to automatically populate. So if I select everything, it's going to say, oh, I think you want me to do this. We can move everything, right? So shortcut for move is MV, or you can come up here and kind of move it. You can also drag it, click, hold and drag, all that fun stuff. Maybe I want to rotate the whole thing by 90. Give me 90, right? So remember in 3D, all of this is being modified simultaneously. So we are in the same space. We're just changing the view. So this is a 3-dimensional model. Remember that. Another useful interface item is if we go to view, we can come over here to the tile views tab. So WT is a shortcut for this. And now we can actually work with both views open simultaneously. And remember that these are the same model, right? So if I click on one of these, I can hover over and it's going to ask me, is this the wall you want? I'll click on it. And if I just hit my little arrow key, I can, of course, shrink or make bigger this wall. And you can see the temporary dimension there is changing, right? So if I hold shift, I can make it bigger faster. Of course, I don't think I can go up or down. I can't go up or down. It's going to let me go in the dimension of the original wall, perpendicular to the original dimension. So I can't go left or right. In this case, I can only go up and down. Just to give you a sense that when we do change these things, it's happening in all dimensions all the time. So we are living in 3D. This is a 3D world. So I'm moving this wall here, trying to keep it 90 degrees. So it would be good, right? So everything is happening in 3 dimensions. Super important to remember. Trying to think if there's anything else to do with the interface itself. I just feel like this is an important part of the kind of idea of getting into the software. The last thing here that I should probably touch on is changing the walls. So remember that we never really have to start from scratch per se. It's up to you if you want to start from scratch. But say for whatever reason you wanted to change the wall type here from brick to something else. Well, instead of redrawing it, we can actually just select it, come up here to what's called the type selector, click the type selector down, and say we actually want this to be, what should we call it? Let's do, let's do something that's clearly visibly different. Let's just do concrete, right? This is a block wall, but that's okay. So block wall, and now we can see that everything has been modified, right? So in 3D and 2D, these representations of the drawing are now live, right? So I think this is, again, just that really high level idea of what makes the software so powerful is we can modify things on the go. So if I come back here, I can't remember which one did I use, the 102. So let's come back here and change this back to, oh, they're all 102. I think it's this one. Now we got everything kind of hanging out. Why don't we let's lift this up off the ground. Maybe I'll show you this real quick. If I select all of my walls, I'll see up here in my base offset command, I can actually lift the whole wall off of the base offset is currently set to 0. So that means 0 dimensions. Oh, if I hover over base offset, I didn't know we could do this. If I hover over base offset, this is a rule. So how high above that base do I want to make the wall? So let's go ahead and make it 150. And if I hit tab, nothing will happen. I either have to come down here and hit apply. You see that? So real quick here, maybe I can do something a little bit more generous. Instead of 150, let's make it 1 meter. And if I just come over into my drawing space, you'll see that whole elevation lift, right? So all of those walls are now lifted up by 1 meter. Just as a kind of idea of that everything is tied together. So I feel like maybe that's like a good safe space to stop. We're going to keep going in class on all this fun stuff. So this is just about the interface and getting a little bit more organized. Walls are just one command of many, and we'll try and get to some more on Monday, which we will, of course. And I look forward to seeing you guys soon. But I do hope that this was helpful. And we'll chat again on Monday. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll chat Monday afternoon. So hope to see you there, and talk to you.